What if I told you that a country with no major ports, waterways, or even a coastline for that matter, has a merchant marine fleet that's about as large as the United States? That's right, despite the fact that Mongolia has none of the things that you would associate with merchant shipping, it possesses a merchant fleet that is about as large as America's. And as bizarre as that is, it actually gets stranger. Because despite the United States having one of the largest navies in the world, 35 major container ports, and over 95,000 miles of coastline spanning two major oceans, the American merchant marine is actually kind of minuscule. But it wasn't always that way. The United States used to possess one of the largest and most active merchant fleets in the world, with over 2,000 ships. But today, that number is about 182. So to put that in perspective, the US went from representing 10% of the world's shipping in 1914 to just about 0.4% today. So what happened? Well, there are the usual theories, things like manufacturing going overseas or more global competition, but these explanations fail to account for the precipitous drop in US flagships, much less the rise of a Mongolian merchant fleet. I mean, after all, Mongolia didn't even have a ship registry until 2003. So who or what could possibly be responsible for a situation so absurd that a landlocked country in Central Asia has a larger merchant fleet than the United States? And the answer to that is Congress. And interestingly enough, they created this problem in an attempt to help the very industry they've now crippled. You see, 100 years ago, Congress passed the Jones Act, which requires the use of US flagged vessels when shipping between two American ports. So what does that mean for shipping? Well, if you live in a place like Hawaii or Alaska, it means that you've created a situation where it's actually cheaper to purchase foreign goods from foreign ships than buying American goods from American ships. But it's not just places like Hawaii, Alaska, or Puerto Rico that are hurting from the Jones Act. The law has actually helped destroy the US merchant marine. But don't take my word for it. Everyone from peer-reviewed economic journals to labor unions to the federal government itself have all admitted that the Jones Act has actually negatively impacted the US shipping industry and driven up consumer prices. Now, they may claim that actually our merchant fleet has 44,000 ships, until you find out that over half of those are small barges on the Mississippi River, not the big container ships we all think of. And this is why Mongolia's merchant marine is leaving America's in the dust. It's not that US can't build ships or has a worse seafaring tradition than Mongolia. Congress has effectively regulated the shipbuilding and maritime industries out of existence. Ironically, while the Jones Act was passed to try to protect American shipping and the shipbuilding industry from foreign competition, it has ended up hurting large parts of the country and placed the United States at such a competitive disadvantage that a country with no coastline whatsoever is capable of outcompeting us on the high seas.